The bouquet slipped from my hands before I even knew why. It landed softly on the aisle runner, right beside two muddy paws. I blinked. The world around me paused. The guests, the music, the man I was about to marry. And standing there, halfway down the aisle, was a golden retriever, thin, dirty, and staring straight at me like he knew my soul. Knew those eyes. I had buried them in memory. My grandmother once rescued a dog just like him, Leo. He vanished after she passed, years ago. We searched. We mourned. We let go, but now, at this moment, on this day, was that really him? A frayed rope collar clung to his neck, the one I tied myself as a child, the same collar we never found. And just like that, the past walked into my wedding. I took a step forward. Then he turned and ran. Like, share, subscribe, and comment where you're listening from. We'd love to know. He turned and ran. For a second, I could not move. My feet were rooted to the aisle runner, surrounded by silence and rose petals. I stared at the space where he had stood, the imprint of muddy paws still fresh. It was him. It had to be. And now he was gone again. I stepped forward before I could think. Then another step. I gathered my dress and lifted it above my knees, bare feet slapping the grass as I left the altar behind. The air shifted as I passed under the arch. Guests gasped. Voices called after me. Someone shouted my name, but the only sound I cared about was the rustle of leaves ahead, the thud of paws over dirt, the rhythm of a dog I thought I had lost forever. He slipped through the wooden gate at the back of the barnyard. I followed, the gravel biting into my skin, each step a sting, but I kept going. My heart beat louder than the music had moments ago. The early autumn air was sharp. Leaves fell like confetti from unseen hands. The trees swayed, gold and orange above me, and the wind carried a memory I was not ready to hold. Leo darted through the break in the fence, past the willow tree we had tied ribbons to earlier that morning. I caught a glimpse of his collar again. That frayed rope, faded red, still clinging to his neck. My fingers ached to touch it, to prove this was real. I called his name, breathless. Leo! He did not stop. I chased him into the trees. The forest behind the venue was deeper than I remembered. The trail curved, and soon the music and chatter were gone, replaced by branches snapping underfoot and the hush of old woods. It was darker here. The sun filtered through gaps in the canopy, and the air smelled of wet bark and forgotten things. Leo stayed just far enough ahead to keep me chasing, always just out of reach, like a ghost that knew the path better than I ever could. I stumbled once, catching my foot on a root. I caught myself against a tree trunk, steadying my breath. My dress was soaked at the hem. My bouquet was long gone. The lace sleeves clung to my skin. Still, I kept running. We reached a clearing. He stopped. Leo stood in the center, tail still, sides heaving. His eyes found mine again, and for a moment neither of us moved. I stepped forward, slowly this time. My knees trembled. I whispered his name, Leo. He blinked. Tilted his head, my chest tightened. I saw him as he had been, curled at the foot of Grandma's recliner, wagging his tail at the sound of her voice, curling into me on the nights I cried. I remembered his weight against my legs, the sound of his bark, the feel of his fur before it thinned. The rope collar swayed as he turned toward me. I reached out. Then, a crack behind me, a twig snapping under a shoe, broke the moment. Leo bolted. Again. He disappeared through the far side of the clearing into a thicket of dry brush. I yelled after him, but the sound vanished into the trees. I was about to follow when I heard footsteps behind me. Claire! I turned, breath caught in my throat. Tom. He jogged into the clearing, face flushed, suit jacket gone, shirt half untucked. He stopped when he saw my face. Was that... I nodded. Leo? Tom looked where the dog had vanished. He did not speak right away. Then he said quietly, "You're sure?" "The collar," I said. "The rope one, I made it." "It's his." Tom came closer. "Where is he going?" I shook my head. I don't know, but I need to follow him. He nodded once. No questions. No hesitation. We'll go together. We ran side by side, dodging branches, pushing through the thicket. The trees thinned, and soon the ground sloped downward. I recognized nothing. The light changed again. Pale and golden. We passed an old stone wall, half crumbled, overgrown with moss. A flash of movement ahead, Leo's tail. He was waiting again, then he moved, slower now, toward a grove of trees I did not remember. Tom grabbed my arm. Do you know where we are? I paused. I did not. But something pulled at the edge of memory. My grandmother. She used to talk about an old orchard back here. I never saw it. I thought it was just a story. Tom looked around. Feels like something she would have wanted you to find. I nodded. She always believed in signs. Leo stopped again. This time, he sat beneath a crooked apple tree, its bark scarred and hollowed at the base. Fallen fruit lay scattered at its roots. He looked smaller now, quieter. I stepped forward. My voice shook. Leo, why here? He did not move. And then I saw it. Half buried in the earth beside the tree was a blanket. Worn. Faded. Floral. The one Grandma used to keep on the porch swing. I fell to my knees. I reached for it. My fingers shaking. I pulled it free. Dirt fell away in clumps. The fabric was damp, but I recognized it instantly. Tom crouched beside me. That's hers, isn't it? I nodded. She must have brought it here. Leo inched closer. He looked at the blanket, then at me. I pressed my palm to the ground. Come here, boy. He took one step, then another, closer, closer, and then a rustle in the trees. Fast. Not him. Leo flinched. He turned toward the sound and growled. Low. Warning. And then he took off again, not running from me this time, but toward something else, something deeper in the trees. Tom stood up fast. Did you hear that? I nodded. We're not alone. And I knew in that moment. We were not just chasing a dog. We were following a trail that someone, or something, wanted us to find. Leo disappeared into the trees again, this time with a purpose. Not like before, not fleeing but chasing, guarding, responding to something just beyond our view. His growl had been low, protective, not fearful. Tom and I exchanged a look. We go after him, I said. He nodded. No hesitation. The blanket still hung from my hands, damp earth clinging to the edges. I folded it without thinking, pressing it to my chest like a shield, and followed the direction Leo had run. The orchard thinned into a winding path, overgrown and forgotten. Fallen apples crunched beneath our feet, and the branches above arched inward, forming a soft canopy of tangled light and shadow. The silence here was different, not peaceful, but expectant, like the air was holding its breath. I reached for my locket instinctively. The chain had been tucked beneath the neckline of my dress, but I wore it always. Inside was a photo of me as a child, holding Leo. My grandmother had taken it on the last summer we were all together. My fingers closed around the metal, grounding me. The path curved left, then dipped down into a hollow framed by two massive oak trees. There, at the bottom, Leo stood still. His body was stiff, tail low, ears alert. Something was there. Tom and I slowed our pace. Do you see anything? I whispered. He narrowed his eyes, then pointed. There, in the shadows. I looked. A small structure, wooden, weather-worn, sat at the edge of the hollow. It was nearly consumed by ivy and rot. A shed, maybe, or a storage shack from when the orchard was still alive. The door hung slightly open, as if it had been used recently. Leo barked once. Short, sharp. Then he turned to us, his eyes urging, and walked toward the door. We followed. The closer we got, the more surreal it felt. I had no memory of this place. My grandmother had mentioned the orchard, yes, but never this. The air grew colder near the doorway. The kind of chill that raises every hair on your arms without reason. Leo stopped at the threshold. He looked up at me, then sat, guarding the entrance. Tom reached for the door. I stopped him. "Let me," I said. I stepped forward, heart pounding. I pushed it open slowly. Inside, it was dark at first. Then my eyes adjusted, and what I saw made my knees weaken. Photos. Hundreds of them. Taped to the walls. Strung on twine. Pinned to beams. All of them. Me, Leo, and Grandma. There was one from the porch swing. Another from the lake trip. Some I did not even know existed. Candid shots. Moments caught when I had not been looking. Leo leaping through the sprinkler. Me brushing his coat. Grandma sitting on the steps watching us. The floor was covered in blankets. Old toys. A single metal food bowl. Tom stepped in behind me. "What is this place?" My throat was dry. "I don't know." There was something else. On a table near the back. A notebook, its pages yellowed and curled at the edges. I walked over, fingers trembling. The front read, "Evelyn's Journal." I opened it. The handwriting was hers. "If Leo ever comes back, he will find this. And maybe, so will Claire." My vision blurred. I flipped through pages filled with entries, all dated in the months before she passed. Every page spoke of Leo, his bond with me, her fears about what would happen to him when she was gone, her regrets, her hopes, and one phrase repeated again and again, "He remembers." I sat down slowly, placing the journal on my lap. Tom knelt beside Leo, who now lay curled at his feet. He ran a hand over the dog's head gently. Leo did not flinch. "He came back here," Tom said softly. "After she died." "Maybe he always came back, waiting," I nodded. "She must have brought him." "This place, it's like a shrine." Tom looked at the walls. "She left it for him. And for you." There was so much I wanted to say, but my throat refused to open. The weight of it all pressed into me. Grief, love, mystery, memory. I leaned into the feeling, then something shifted. Leo sat up, ears pricking again, a soft rustle outside. A snap of movement, then a voice. Not quite a voice, more like a hum. Low. Mechanical. Tom stood fast, pulling me to my feet. "Stay here," he said. "No," I whispered. "We go together." We stepped outside slowly. The trees swayed harder now. The wind had picked up, and with it a strange smell. Metallic, damp. Leo walked ahead again, low and tense. We followed him down a narrower trail, barely visible beneath the brush. It led to a clearing, this one empty, save for one object. A small camera. Mounted on a post. Still warm from recent use. Tom walked up to it. There's no casing. No wires, just this. I stared at it. Someone's been watching. Tom turned it over. Battery's dead. Or removed. We stood there, unsure of what to do next. Then Leo began to dig. Just beside the post. Frantic, urgent. I rushed to him. "What is it, boy?" He scraped away the top layer of leaves and dirt. And then I saw it. A photograph. Wrapped in plastic. Preserved. Tom helped me pull it free. It was a picture of me and Leo, taken from a distance. The date printed at the bottom was from 2 weeks ago. I staggered backward. Tom caught me. "That's from now," I said. "From here," Leo growled again. And somewhere deep in the trees, a twig snapped. Not an animal, not a squirrel or deer. The sound was deliberate, heavy. Someone was out there, and they had been watching the branch snapped again. This time, closer. Leo's growl deepened, rumbling low in his chest. His body shifted between us and the trees, legs stiff, head lowered. I had not seen him like this since I was a child. The guardian stance. The stance he took when he thought I was in danger. Tom dropped the photo and stepped in front of me. I looked toward the trees. There was no movement now. No sound, just stillness. Then another sound, faint, metallic, like a latch being released. Tom glanced back at me. "We're not alone." "I know," I said. "And they've been here for weeks." The weight of the photograph burned in my mind, not just its existence, but the date. Someone had been watching me and Leo. They knew when and where to take the photo, and they wanted me to find it. Tom motioned for me to stay back, but I followed him into the trees. Leo moved with us, nose to the ground, tracking. We stepped carefully, scanning the shadows. The orchard was silent again, but it no longer felt like it belonged to me. It felt used. We walked for another 100 feet until we saw it. A tent. Small, camouflaged, hidden behind a curtain of brush. Tom approached first, slowly, then pulled the flap aside. Empty. Inside were a few scattered items: a flashlight, a torn notepad, an empty water bottle, and taped to the inside wall, another photograph. This one showed me and Grandma. I was 10. She was holding Leo in her lap, but this wasn't one of ours. It had been taken through a window. I stepped inside. My breath caught. There were more pictures. Pinned to the canvas. Me, Grandma, Leo. Most were years old, but not all. Someone had followed me for a long time. Tom scanned the area. Whoever this was, they're gone now. But they were here. Today, I said. Leo sniffed the ground, circled twice, then stopped in front of a wooden crate. He nosed at it, whined. I knelt and pulled it out from under a blanket. It was old, hand-carved, with a brass clasp on the front. There was a note taped to the lid, in Grandma's handwriting, for when she's ready. My heart dropped. I opened it. Inside, a small stack of letters, tied in twine. A cassette tape, and one item that made my chest collapse. Grandma's locket, not the one I wore, but hers. Oval-shaped, silver, etched with roses. I had not seen it since the day she died. I thought it had been buried with her. Tom stepped closer. Claire, this is her. She left this. I don't understand, I said. She couldn't have known. I trailed off. Because she had known, not the when. Not the how, but she knew Leo would return. She knew I would follow him. She knew I would find this place. One of the letters was addressed to me. I untied the twine with shaking hands. My name was written in ink that had faded at the edges. Claire. Nothing else. I opened it. Her voice filled my head as I read. If you are reading this, it means he found you. Or maybe you found each other. I do not know when this letter will reach you. I only know that Leo carries things none of us can explain. He has always known where he is meant to be. If you followed him here, trust that it was not by accident. There are things I never told you, things I feared would only hurt. But now you deserve the truth. I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. Tom was quiet. Leo was still. I think she planned this, I said. All of it. Tom nodded. She knew what Leo would do. I folded the letter and placed it gently back in the crate. I would read the rest later, when I was steadier. But there was one more thing inside. A photograph. Tucked beneath the locket. It showed Grandma standing in this very orchard, by the shed. She was smiling, and behind her, barely visible, a figure, a man. His face was turned, but I recognized the shape of his shoulders. It was my uncle, my mother's brother. Disappeared years ago, vanished without a word. No one had heard from him since Grandma's funeral. Tom studied the photo. That's him, isn't it? I nodded. He was always a little strange, quiet, obsessive. He and Grandma fought a lot near the end. You think he's the one who's been watching? I don't know, but he's part of this. Suddenly, Leo barked, loud, urgent, then he took off again. Leo! I shouted, chasing after him. We sprinted through the trees, Tom behind me, branches scratching at my arms. The forest blurred. My lungs burned, and then ahead, movement, a man. He stood at the edge of a dry creek bed, one hand in his coat pocket, the other holding something small. A tape recorder. He saw us. He didn't move, Leo growled. I froze. The man smiled, thin and tired. "It's time you knew," he said. He did not run. He stood perfectly still as we approached, one hand wrapped around a small, worn tape recorder, the other buried in his coat pocket. His face had aged beyond the years that separated us. Gaunt, weathered, hollowed by time and solitude. But I knew him. "Uncle Aaron," I said, the name scraping its way out of my throat. He nodded once, slowly. "Claire," Tom stood beside me, tense, unsure. Leo had not moved, still growling low. I placed my hand gently on his head. He settled, not fully, but enough. Aaron looked down at him. "I did not expect him to find you here." "Not today," my voice was brittle. "What is this? Why are you here?" He raised the tape recorder, pressing the rewind button with a thumb that shook slightly. The wheels inside spun, crackling softly, before he clicked it off and met my eyes. I came back to protect what Evelyn asked me to guard. I blinked. Guard from what? From forgetting. He gestured to the dry creek bed behind him. "There's something you need to see," I hesitated. Everything in me wanted to scream, to demand answers, to drag him out of this strange woods and back to the real world. But something held me there. The same force that had pulled Leo through the trees. The same silence that spoke louder than the wedding music ever had. I stepped forward. Tom followed. Leo flanked me. The creek bed dipped gently into a gully. Aaron moved with surprising ease, navigating the terrain like it had been memorized long ago. He stopped at the far end and pointed to a stone, flat, wide, moss-covered. "She buried something here," he said. "Not a body, not a secret, just a choice." He knelt beside the stone and began brushing the moss away. Beneath it was a carving, faint, nearly vanished, initials, C+, L, inside a heart. I gasped. "I made this," I whispered. "When I was 13, Aaron nodded. She never touched it. Said it was sacred. She remembered this spot. She remembered everything." I dropped to my knees, brushing away the dirt with my sleeve. This was where Leo and I used to play. Where I'd talk to Grandma when I was mad. I didn't think anyone knew. Aaron set the tape recorder down beside the carving. "She knew." Tom crouched beside me, studying the heart. "She kept all this alive," Aaron nodded. "She gave me one job. To keep this place intact until Leo returned. And when he did, to follow him." My breath caught. "You've been following Leo?" "He left after she died, yes. But he came back. Again and again. Always here. I watched him for years. Why didn't you tell us?" He hesitated. "Because I failed her once. I thought this was my redemption." His eyes dropped to the tape recorder. "She left these for you." Not just letters, recordings. I picked it up. He showed me the back. Taped, there was a folded label. "Claire, Orchard Day." She knew this day would come. "She believed in things that don't make sense," he said. So did Leo. I held the recorder tight. Leo whined softly. He stepped forward, nudged his nose against the stone, then turned to me and lay down. I pressed play. Grandma's voice filled the clearing. Warped slightly by age, but unmistakably her, Claire. "If you're hearing this, you followed your heart. Or maybe his. I'm proud of you. This place, it was always yours. But I feared it would be forgotten. That you'd bury the pain too deep. I asked Aaron to guard it, not because you couldn't, but because grief is a tricky thief. It steals quietly. I didn't want Leo to carry it all alone." Tears filled my eyes. Tom put an arm around my shoulders. Leo lifted his head. Aaron sat silently, listening. Leo disappeared because I asked him to. He was never lost. I let him go. The day I felt myself slipping, I opened the gate. He ran straight to the orchard. He stayed, and Aaron stayed with him. They were both my witnesses, my keepers. Now it's your turn, Claire. If you're here, it means you are ready to remember fully. Not just the good. All of it. The tape clicked off. I stared at the device in my lap. My hands trembled. She let him go. I whispered. She gave him back to the woods. Aaron looked down. She said he would know when to come back. And he did. On your day, Tom's voice was quiet, so she never wanted him to be found. Until now, Aaron nodded. She said the orchard would wake when the moment was right. I turned to Leo. His eyes met mine, soft and steady. No fear, no tension, only peace. I buried my hands in his fur. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't understand. His tail thumped once. Then I felt something beneath his fur, something small and hard. I parted the hair around his neck, tied just under the frayed rope collar. Was a small silver key. My stomach dropped. Aaron inhaled sharply. I didn't know about that. Tom leaned in. A key to what? I looked at Aaron. Is there something else? He stood slowly. There's one more thing. Leo rose too, standing tall now, as if the moment had passed from pain into purpose. Aaron pointed to a tree further up the ridge. A small wooden box was nailed into the trunk, almost invisible under the moss. I climbed up, brushing away leaves. The box had no latch, just a lock and a tiny engraving, a second chance. I looked down at the key in my hand. I turned it slowly. The lock clicked open. Inside was a flash drive. Labeled, "For her eyes only." The flash drive sat in my palm like a secret too long hidden, for her eyes only. I turned it over once, twice. The label was written in Grandma's handwriting, faint and fading, but unmistakable. My throat tightened. Tom stepped beside me. We can play it back at the venue. The photographer's laptop. I nodded slowly. Let's go. Leo walked with us. No leash, no hesitation. Every step he took felt intentional, like his part in this story was no longer about chasing shadows, but leading me home. Aaron followed at a distance. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. When we reached the edge of the orchard trail, I paused. The wedding party was still there, scattered, confused, talking in clusters. Some chairs had been moved. The music had stopped. But no one had left. They all turned when they saw us. Leo stepped into view, and the entire crowd went silent. I held the flash drive tight and walked to the nearest table. The photographer, wide-eyed, handed over her laptop without a word. Tom plugged it in. I clicked the file. A video opened. The screen showed my grandmother. Sitting on the porch swing. Holding Leo in her lap, she looked directly into the camera. Hello, my sweet girl. If you're watching this, then Leo did it. He kept his promise. And so did you. I am so proud of you, Claire. I worried that life would get too heavy, that grief would close your heart. But Leo always knew how to find the cracks. He waited. Because love does that. And I've been waiting too. For this day, for this moment. You may think this is a goodbye, but it's not. It's a door. And you're standing on the other side now. I left you the orchard because I knew you'd need it one day. Not to escape, but to remember. To feel everything fully, without turning away. You're not just starting a new life, Claire. You're continuing mine, ours. And Leo, she looked down at him, brushing his ears gently. He's the bridge between what was and what will be. Let him walk with you. Let him come home. The video ended. There was no music, no applause, just stillness. Then Leo stepped forward and rested his head against my thigh. I dropped to my knees and held him. The crowd gave us space. The forest behind me stood like a witness. I looked up at Tom. He smiled, eyes misted. We never finished our vows. I stood, and in front of everyone, with Leo at our side, we said them, not with fanfare, not with a string quartet, but with the wind through the leaves and the scent of apples in the air. Later, as the sun began to fall behind the barn, I sat beside Leo on the porch swing. He was tired now, head in my lap, tail gently thumping. I reached into my dress pocket and pulled out the second locket, Grandma's. I opened it. Inside were two pictures, one of me as a child and one of Leo. I clipped it to his collar. Come home with me? I whispered. He lifted his head and licked my hand. That night, Tom and I didn't leave for our honeymoon. We took Leo home instead. He curled up at the foot of our bed, just like he used to, just before I turned out the light. I saw him watching me, not guarding, not warning, just being whole home. If this rescue moved you, share it with someone who believes in second chances. Subscribe for more stories like this.